It is said that luck is the intersection of preparation and opportunity. My name is Tobias and welcome to Australian Hunting Backcountry, a platform where we will focus on all things around hunting in the backcountry, not just in Australia and New Zealand, but everywhere that backcountry hunting is possible. Every hunting trip should be a journey of learning, so join me as we explore gear, tips, techniques, hear lived experiences and discuss the unique places that backcountry hunting can take you. I appreciate you coming along with me as I try to increase our knowledge and help us seek out opportunities so that we might have better luck in the backcountry. For 2025, Australian Hunting Backcountry is proudly partnering with Nature's Perks and Gun Traders Australia. Nature's Perks, your gateway to the outdoors. Lawson and Jesse, the team behind Nature's Perk, are passionate about sharing the joys and benefits of hunting and fishing. They offer a range of membership options which give you opportunities to win amazing gear, learn from the best, experience unforgettable adventures and exclusive member perks. Your membership enters you in regular gear giveaways to win top quality hunting and fishing equipment. You can enhance your skills with their comprehensive hunting education courses available both in person and soon online. Your membership will include exciting draws for guided hunts and fishing charters, creating memories that will last a lifetime. And you can gain access to unique opportunities and experiences that are available only to their members. Join the Nature's Perks community today and unlock a world of outdoor adventures. Visit naturesperks.com.au to learn more and choose the membership that's right for you. Gun Traders Australia is a family-run, secure online platform for firearm enthusiasts across Australia to buy and sell firearm parts and accessories. The guys there are dedicated to fostering a community where responsible firearm ownership is paired with exceptional service and access to premium products and trusted providers. What sets Gun Traders Australia apart is a modern and user-friendly online platform with reliable search filters, making finding what you need even easier. The server is hosted right here in Australia, ensuring fast and reliable access, and a payment portal that is also proudly Australian-based, providing secure transactions without any information stored offshore. Check them out at guntraders.com.au. Welcome to Australian Hunting Backcountry. This episode, I'm joined by Kate from A Little Wander is your handle. So, Kate, thanks for making the time, and sorry about the stuff around again.
No, that's right. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah. So I first came across your page, Kate, on Instagram, and I think we started talking a little while ago after you had a bit of bad luck where you had a toilet knocked off from your camping gear.
Yes.
And having young girls in camping and myself having had the same issue years ago, I realised the dilemma you were in. Both my daughters refused to come camping with me until I bought a little cassette toilet for them to use. So I felt your pain, so I reached out to you then, but I don't know if you remember that, but you were sort of the other side of Australia at the time, so it didn't really work out for me to donate my toilet to you, but you got it sorted in the end anyway.
Yeah, no, I definitely do remember that. We were gutted and so confused as to why someone else would want to steal someone else's toilet, but that's all right. I did have a few choice words about it, but yeah, no, it was kind that you offered it, and we sort of transferred not long after that from having a camper trailer into a van, so there's sort of need for the cassette toilet wasn't there. But yeah, it was we were really gutted. It was so painful because we just were heading home from a really great trip, and it was at a caravan park and we had everything strapped down, so the fact that they'd gone to the effort to take that and not the gazebo or the fire pit was a bit of confusion why they'd want to take the toilet. But it was funny now. It's funny now you look back on it, but one of those things, I guess, that still confuse us as to why someone would want to steal your shitter, but that's all right. Each to their own, I guess, or young people who can't be bothered emptying their own cassette. But it was pretty frustrating. But yeah, it was really kind. I had a few people reach out actually, which was really nice.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that you did say to me that you'd had quite a few people reach out. So there is a really great community out there. And it is a shame that there are a few bad apples out there and a couple of grubs that will do things like that. But anyway, hopefully the kindness sort of made up for that that whole episode for you and the family.
Yeah, it's a good little community actually between the camping and I guess now the hunting communities and stuff. I find that most people are pretty generous with everything, whether it be just the time or advice or
Mm.
even just having a chat. I really like to have a yarn. That's why I've sort of kept in touch with yourself and heaps of other accounts. I find everyone's pretty um, like wanting to keep that community kind of going and sort of keep that kindness cruising through, and they're all happy to see people just join in.
Mm.
It's one of the things I love, and probably why I started my account, A Little Wonder, was just to get people into being outside and getting out and about, but also with their families, which is probably where my passion for anything sort of outdoorsy lies a bit.
Mm. Mm. All right. So to start with, tell us about Kate.
Um, well, I don't know. I liked the outdoors. I think I've grown up on a farm over in Western Australia. I've always liked the outdoors. Um, and I guess I've just sort of followed on. We used to go camping in swags and stuff when we were younger. Just being from a country town, it was sort of just have the swag in the back and roll it out at parties, or if you just wanted to go down the creek or go marining or whichever.
Mm-hmm.
And work has sort of taken me up to the Pilbara as well. I was really fortunate. I lived up there for a while. That transferred into FIFO work, which allowed me time off just to sort of get outdoors. And then I transferred across to Queensland and lived there. And we had a bit of a just over an acre plot. And I was always outside doing all the yard work and things like that. My husband worked FIFO and we had two young girls. So it sort of allowed us to have a bit of time together and where we could always be outdoors. And then we started sort of getting into camping as a family, which was really nice. And I guess from there, probably just in the realm of where we're at, we're just camping with friends a lot. And then we had to move from Queensland down to South Australia. We chose to. And that's where we really got in the thick of camping and doing a heap of just day hikes and walks with the kids and getting out and about. And then that sort of moved from just being out and about, walking and doing camping trips. I sort of started filming them just for a hobby. So I do have a really little YouTube channel and I haven't posted anything on there for a while. I really need to get back into that.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess I just wanted to keep that thing outdoors and getting out and about and using nature and stuff for my kids as well. I didn't want that to be lost into devices and sitting in front of computers and just having that. And I wanted to give them skills that they could use forever and things that they could ground themselves with when everything gets a bit much.
Mm-hmm.
So, we sort of transferred into doing that. My husband likes to hunt, and he was shooting a bow one day, and I'm not much of a watcher. I'm sort of more of a doer, and I thought that looked quite fun. So he was eager to show me, and I sort of jumped on board a long time ago, and it was really hit and miss for a while. Like I'd have a crack and then I'd leave it, and then I got a bit of an eye injury, so I couldn't carry on. And then I came good, and probably a couple of years, 2 years ago maybe now, I sort of decided I wanted to do something. I needed a hobby for myself that I could do with the kids around, but something new, something that was a challenge and something to sort of teach me a bit of patience. And I sort of decided that archery was going to be it, but more in the bow hunting side. I wanted to learn a few new skills. So
Pick up the struggle stick.
Compound bow, I sort of cheated and went straight to that. Depends on who you talk to, but I picked that up. So we're an outdoorsy family. I'm pretty loud, and I'm definitely one for the community and saying g'day to everyone, and I'm the chatty half. I'm the out there half of myself and Brett. But I just like to sort of encourage anyone and have a chat to everyone and anyone, and I don't know, what you see is what you get. I'm pretty loud, I'm pretty out there.
Mm-hmm.
But I like to sort of just try new things, I guess, and see what sticks. But that's me.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So, how long ago did you pick up the bow?
When I decided to really get stuck in was probably uh, the start of 2024. Um, I had been picking up on and off, like I said, just for a bit of fun in the backyard with Brett when he'd pick his up to just practice a bit. And I guess I got to the point where my kids were old enough to be able to do their own thing, and like you could give them, their tablet, or they could go play a board game together, or they could be crafting on their own. They didn't sort of need me as much, and I sort of had a bit of a gap there to fill.
Mm.
And I had started doing all my filming and just doing it just for fun. I could edit while the kids are around. I could film while they were around. And we were doing heaps of trips, like heaps of day walks and heaps of picnics. And I just sort of thought, it'd be fun to do that and try to get other families out and about, and just realizing that you don't actually have to have 10 ton of gear with you, and it doesn't all have to be top notch, and you don't even have to go that far from home. You don't have to drive hours to find these great little places. You can go just for a couple of hours, have a coffee in the bush, just sort of ground yourself out, and come home again. So I was doing that already. And then when I started sort of shooting the bow just a little bit here and there, I sort of decided that I needed to get back into something. I didn't want to pick up hockey again. I was an avid hockey player growing up, probably right until before I had my second baby. And I kind of decided I didn't want to go back to a sport where I could just pick it up and know the ropes. I wanted a challenge, and I needed to give myself something that was really going to put me through my paces, and boy has it ever. But that's when I decided, well, I might as well give archery a crack, and I can tie it in with bushwalks and being out in the bush and camping and sort of everything that we were sort of tumbling toward. So I sort of set myself a goal, and I thought, well, I really want to pick this up seriously, and I'd like to be confident enough and proficient enough to head out in the bush on my own and have a crack at getting an animal. So yeah, I probably started 2024 is when I sort of really stuck my head down and thought, I really want to have a good crack at this and see how I can go.
Yeah. And were you in SA at that time? Like, had the bow hunting ban affected you, or you were out of that?
No, so we were in South Australia. The bow hunting ban, I think, was December 2024. I think it really kicked in. But I mean, there was a lot going on at the time too. And I mean, they were doing the aerial culling as well, which really pissed off a lot of people. I mean, it depends on what side of the fence you sit, of course. Everyone's got their own opinions about that. But it's so sad that we have let the state forests and the national parks and things like that not become a place for the people anymore. They're really taking it all away. Whether you're just camping, hiking, or whichever, there's so many bloody restrictions and rules and controls around it all, but a lot of them don't make sense. And I think it's probably, I don't know, probably shows how disconnected that a lot of people are from the bush and being outdoors and just enjoying things that are in our backyard that are simple. And yeah, people sort of, I know some people think that's a stretch, but I guess when you get down the basics of it, that's there. So when I picked up the bow hunting, I realized that we would probably have to be out of state to go hunting and things, but it didn't stop me wanting to pick it up. We were traveling on a weekend. We would travel to New South Wales and Victoria for holidays.
Yep.
So, I mean, sort of 5.5, 6 hours wasn't a problem. So we've got our licenses and all the renewals and stuff that you required, the permits or whatever you needed for New South Wales and Victoria. We've done all the online stuff. We pay into the systems that you need to pay into and stuff, so we can. Just like fishing licenses are the same. We've got those for interstate because we're just traveling so much.
Yep.
And making the effort to go to the places where it was possible to do that.
Yeah. All right. Very cool. Great. It's great that you're able to do it all as a family too. That's an added bonus.
Yeah, it is. I think when you've got a partner, so the hunting obviously is more I'm learning a lot from Brett. But I think it's a good life skill, even just the field craft. Even if our girls never hunt, it's just the point of getting out and about and in the bush. We all, as a family, as individuals, we each come away from the bush when we've been out, whether it's just for a drive around, and you get out and stretch your legs and have a look, or you stop for a coffee, or you are there for half a day or 5 days. We all seem to come back so relaxed and grounded and just a lot calmer, I think, and it
Yeah.
speaks volumes as to what you can get from something so simple that we seem to forget about when everyone's so busy with the rat race
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
all that sort of thing.
I think there was a study done post COVID about people's mental health during isolation and then afterwards, and it kind of tacked on to a study that was already in the sort of process of being done about green space therapy. So actually, having time outside and amongst nature and that sort of thing. And yeah, there was a real nexus between depression or poor mental health and everybody being locked away and locked down and so forth. And then, a measurable rise in mental health improvement by people then being able to go and access outside spaces and open air, parks, even just parks and that sort of thing. So it's definitely, this is something that hunters have known for many years, but it's now been actually, scientifically proven per se.
Yeah, I think it's really important, and I guess, like I said, everything sort of spinballs into one another. I mean, obviously, as a kid, I probably was being out and about on the farm all the time. It was a smaller property, but we used to jump on the motorbikes and we'll go swimming in the dams and go cruising around the bush. And um, you know, I think I probably learnt it from a young age. It was something that was good for me in the outdoors and things. I mean, everyone, whether they like to admit it or not, everyone benefits when they're outside. They just probably don't realise it, which I didn't. And I mean, obviously, when you're young and dumb and going out drinking and doing all sorts of stuff, you probably lose that connection a wee bit, which I 100% did.
Mm.
But I just found as I was getting older, I was still always drawn to going outside, whether that was yard work and just raking up leaves and having a bit of a burn and trimming the trees back, or whatever function it looks like, or whichever way people facilitate that at their own houses.
Mm.
We were always striving to do that. And then it led into, at the start of COVID, we were still in Queensland. And in our backyard, we were just lighting the campfire every day. We were campfire cooking every day just because, well, why not?
Mm.
You're stuck at home. You can't go anywhere. You can't socialise with people. So we just were like, well, we'll sit outside with the kids, and they were only little at the time. So they're on their little bike scooting down the hill and things like that. It's sort of, we just kept drawing ourselves outside all the time. We had a beautiful veranda set up and birds would come in and all of these sorts of little things that just kind of keep linking you back to the outdoors. So I guess we sort of just kept expanding on that back to things that we enjoy. And now we go camping all the time when we can. And I guess our push really is, we would love to see our girls get to the point of having their own licenses and things like that, but wanting to go camping on weekends or disappearing with friends with a couple of swags in the back and an esky full of food or whichever.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would light us up, that they would still love to do that and that we've encouraged that.
Yeah.
But I also think it just teaches a really good independence, and it builds a bit of inner strength and resilience to sort of just be happy to go out with basic stuff and realize that you're just going to have to adapt and overcome or sidestep a problem just with what you got there. And I just think it's a good foundation for all kids, and everyone alike. I think probably not for yourself so much, but for women, when we have kids, and I was a stay-at-home mum and I absolutely loved it. But I think when you go from being that really hands-on, whether you're a dad at home with your children full-time or a mum, or even especially women who work full-time and come home, and you've got so many tabs open in your brain in the parenting realm, and then you have men and women who work, or have you have your work tabs open, you have your home life tabs open, and I think we all forget to just stop and take a minute and try to find time just for ourselves. And I definitely needed that. So stepping into the hunting space probably was me carving away for myself, to give back to myself, to learn a little bit and step away from the kids a bit and try to close off a few things, to clear my brain a little bit and allow me, I guess, to get a little bit back for myself, because it's difficult and you feel guilty too. All parents get it. You think, oh shit, I really need to divide my time between work, which takes up a big chunk, and kids got sports, and I want to do this, and then I'd love to take my partner out, or however your life looks. We are all bloody busy. So I think when you learn something like hunting or camping or hiking, whichever it looks, when you take that time, it's so grounding, it's so rewarding, whether you get an animal you don't, or you see something out in the bush or you don't. I needed that break, and I needed that circuit breaker for myself as well.
Yeah. Yeah, no, 100% agree. I remember one trip I did when I had young kids and I was by myself, and we had a family dog at the time, and I took the dog away. And after about 3 or 4 days, I think it was, I realised that I actually hadn't used my voice. I actually hadn't uttered a word in those 3 or 4 days. All the sort of conversations I was having were all internalised. And I hadn't had the need. I hadn't had to call the dog or anything like that even. And I actually had to say something to make sure that my voice was still working at that time. It was a really odd sort of light bulb moment for me.
Yeah.
So one of the reasons that I did reach out to you again, and to invite you onto the podcast, was because of a YouTube video that one of our mutual friends, Lucy Nilsson, posted. So for listeners of the podcast, you would remember Lucy and her father were a guest on my show a little while ago. I've kept in touch with Lucy, and actually when I was in New Zealand last year, I caught up with her for a coffee one day. So she and some other women over there are sort of looking to get into a real female-focused kind of hunter education course. And I think you might have been sort of one of the guinea pigs for that.
Yeah, I think I was really fortunate to get on that trip too. I was really buzzed when they reached out. So just to take it back a fraction from the New Zealand trip last year, start of June, I did a trip in New South Wales, and I only got that trip by chance as well. It was really like an odd, I don't know, meant to be kind of thing. However people would like to look at it, I just feel like I was the right place at the right time, and it was meant to kind of happen for me that way. I was probably not as prepared as I should have been for that New South Wales trip, but I mean, it taught me a lot. And I happened to meet a couple of the crew who were going on the New Zealand trip. So I did that first hunt, and I really went on that trip to decide whether I actually like just to film our trips and our holidays, and I would just prefer to film Brett hunting. Because I'd edited a film for Brett and his friend that went, and I said, look, just get me as much footage as you can. I just want to put it all together. And I had so much fun because I wasn't on the trip. So I had to sort of try to create a bit of a story of what they'd done just from what Brett had told me in the footage, put it together. And I had a great time doing that. But I really wanted to decide, when I decided to go whole hog with archery, whether it was really the hunting I enjoyed or just being out and doing the filming. So I thought, well, what better way to go on a trip, see if I love it, see if I get the bug, and go from there. So I did that first trip, and I met Carla Pound, who a lot of people know from Alone Australia, and she's done some other really cool stuff, and I can't list all her accolades and things, but if you want to travel over to her Insta, she's on there as well. I met Sarah McDuffie. She is from Oregon, and she's over here living and working, and she's heavily into archery and all things outdoors. And I met another lady, Courtney Preet. She's got her own business doing women's trips, and that's actually who organised that trip along with Sarah McDuffie, and I jumped on board that. So I met those three, and I don't know, it was just really nice. We got along. Everyone got along on the trip. It was really fun.
Yeah.
Learned a lot about myself, and definitely learned that I had the bug for hunting, and I really wanted to see where I could go. And it probably really just blew the doors wide open on how much I don't know and how much I can learn and how much I wanted to learn.
Yeah.
So I just sort of kept in touch with the girls, and every now and then send a little g'day message, or if I see something that interests me and pop up, and I'm nosy as, so I'll ask everyone all the questions. And they just happened to sort of extend an invite and say, hey, we've got a spot on the chopper for a New Zealand trip. It's in a few weeks, sorry for the late notice. Do you want to come? And I mentioned it to my husband, and he was all behind me. He's my biggest hype man, so I'm really fortunate I've got his support, and he's all things just go, don't worry about it. We'll sort the kids, book the holiday, book your flights, do whatever you need to do. And I've just got to say a big thank you to him, because he's really instrumental in all the things I do. He's probably more the push factor than myself, and definitely gives me the encouragement I need, but yeah, definitely builds me up so I feel like I'm able to go and do it and be successful. So I'm really fortunate to have him in my corner, and he just is like, yep, don't worry, I'll work from home, I'll look after the kids, book the week and just go. So yeah, I jumped on board really quick, and I got to meet some really cool women who are all out for the community of hunting, but really focused on getting women into hunting, and just really pushing that side of things, which I think is great and probably needed, just to hold a small area where women can come in and feel like they can stretch their legs a little bit and show everyone what they've got, and showcase, not only New Zealand and the area they're in, but the skills that you can get, and that you don't necessarily have to be, in with the boys to be part of what is considered a masculine sport and a space, which is really cool.
Yeah. And it is a very male-dominated area or sport or recreation, however you want to class it as. And so it's great to see Lucy and the other girls. And is it Eleanor?
Ellie.
Ellie
Manara. She's a weapon as well. Both her and Lucy are amazing. So full of knowledge and so happy to share it, but not in a way that is overbearing or like here's something you follow, step 1, 2, 3. They're just there for support, and you can lean on them if you want, or not. But they're just so funny and light-hearted and easygoing. They just sort of really make you feel at home as soon as you step out there.
Yeah. All right, so let's go back to then pre-trip. What was your sort of preparation and planning and the logistics that you had to start off with?
So I think in the end I only had 3 or 4 weeks to get ready for the trip, which was pretty quick, really. I'm definitely not fit where I should be fit for New Zealand hills. I mean, they are something else. I guess the biggest joke coming away from that was I was always calling Ellie Jack Rabbit. Both her and Lucy were just amazing. They go to take off up a hill and they just make it look so easy. I get to the top and probably needed my asthma puffer and was blowing like all hell, and they're just like, oh, come on, we'll just have a little break and we'll get going again. And you just think, holy shit, woman.
Yep.
So they're impressive women. So I probably would preface this by saying you can be any fitness level to go and do it too. And I probably wasn't confident in myself in that respect, but I just think if you really want to do it, you just take your time. I let them know. I straight away just said, look, I'm not super fit. I won't be able to crush the hills like you guys can. But you just let them know, and they're like, well, don't worry about it. We'll just do what we can do. Or if we've got to stop, we've got to stop. We're going to be glassing anyway. So don't worry about it. Probably the same as I've come a long way in confidence in my archery ability as well. And probably a lot way my confidence in just being outdoors by myself and having to rely with whatever's in my pack as well. And I think that's the thing. If you're happy to step in and just trust the process per se. So I was really fortunate that Brett's done so many trips on his own, and he's done a lot of backpacking and hiking, and he's done a lot of camping and hunting and all sorts of things. So he was really key for me to be getting ready. He sort of helped me run through all my kit a lot of the times, and ensuring we had what I would need. And again, I was still learning. I'm still learning now. I'm still very green. So I was really fortunate to have that. So we just organised all the kit that I'd need for hunting, and plus a little bit extra on the side for like just the casual days and things. But yeah, just I think preparing your gear, laying it out and going, right, well, I'm going to need, like your boots and your gaiters and, your belt to hook your knives on, and you're going to need what knives you're going to need if you do get an animal and you do need to cut it up, and, what are you going to need for cooking, and, you're going to need a pooper scoop shovel because that's just a necessary requirement when you're out, and figuring out how you're going to pack it. And I suck at packing. I need to really practice that. And people might say, people laugh when I've said that. And I'm like, it's not a laughing joke, mate. You need skills to pack. You need to be able to Tetris, because when you've only got X amount of space and you have X amount of kit that you really need to take with you because you're relying on yourself and what you've got, you need to be able to pack it and square it away neatly. So that's a skill I still need to learn, because we were fortunate that we chop it in and we were pretty much on top of where we were camping. But, if we had to hike, it would have killed me. Yeah. And just practice my archery, really just practicing trying to do shots from different areas at the targets, kneeling down, standing up, just from different positions rather than straight on. And I guess I would try different areas of the target too, instead of just that one little spot that you're trying to nail at the same time. Like, try to sort of do different little areas that you may not always shoot at, and just different angles. Not silly angles. You have to be confident in your shot. And that's probably one of the first things I learned, and comfortable with the distance that you're shooting as well. So yeah, just a lot of practice on the things that I could control. And everything else is just a wait till you get there and see what happens, really.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, there's only sort of so much that you can actually prepare for. And, in your defence as well, I truly believe that there are very few people who are actually New Zealand fit, in air quotes. Maybe if you're a professional guide and you're doing it every day, you're probably close to it. But for everybody else, it
oh yeah, it's something else.
yeah, it is. Yeah. All right. And so you were bow hunting, so you didn't have to go through the logistics of getting a firearm into the country and all of those applications and paperwork and so forth. Was there any dramas, though, with trying to get a bow on the plane and transport it around over there and so forth?
It's pretty easy, actually. You just, I think I was pretty open on my forms too, but I checked at every point I went to. So I'd already travelled to New South Wales with my bow, but it's just having the case and making sure you got your broadheads all. And, we've got them tucked away as well. So they're in a case within the case. And there wasn't any troubles. I sort of just got to the oversize and just shoved it on there and got to the other end, and they were fine. When I got to the other end, though, I wasn't sure what classed what as a weapon or not. So I did tick the box saying, well, I guess it is. But I got there and I said, look, I've just got my compound bow and my arrows and stuff. They're like, no, don't worry about it. I'm not interested. They didn't care. They just checked for dirt mainly, which was their main priority, like, weed and seed and all that sort of jazz.
Yep.
But there was no issues getting it through, and no issues with transport or anything like that. So, the girls, we all sort of tried to fly at the same sort of time. We were just picked up in a bit of a party bus. So it was just easy. We sort of all shoved all our 10 ton of stuff in and away we went.
Yep. So were New Zealand Customs worried about animal product at all on your broadheads or anything like that? Did they query that?
No, they didn't really actually check that. That's one thing I was sort of wondering. I did say to them, look, they are all clean and new. They did look, but they weren't inspecting it. They inspected our tents and our boots, but the tents, they went and opened them up.
Yep.
to give them a shake out for
Yeah.
seed. So I'm assuming if you had, yeah, I don't look. That's a hard one because I just didn't check thoroughly for that. I mean, I was up front and said, I haven't had anything on them.
Mm.
But yeah, it was probably all the weed and seed they were more concerned of.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and like honey products and things like that, if you had any. But we were sort of, I went through with Carla at the same time, and I mean, she's just a super seasoned traveller. I mean, that's what her core work is. So I mean, we were both kind of in and out really quickly because we both travel, so it wasn't a problem for us.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember when I went over there, that was their sort of main focus was dirt, seeds, plant material, that sort of thing, and even to the point that they unpacked my tent and then took all the tent pegs out and inspected them. And
Oh, wow.
what they got me on, not got me, that sounds bad. They were actually really super nice about it. But what they picked me up on was my trekking poles. So on the tips of my trekking poles, even though I'd washed them and scrubbed them, I hadn't like been thorough enough. And they said they like got a little thing and they scratched it and a little bit of dirt came off and they went, yeah, obviously, you haven't quite gotten this. Um, and so they took them away and cleaned them and disinfected them, whatever they did, and brought them back. But yeah, they were. I actually bought a new set of gaiters for the trip over there because all my other gaiters had grass seeds all through the Velcro on it. So I thought,
Oh yeah.
I'm not going to sit here trying to pull those out. I'll just get a new set. I'll wear the cost, and so yeah, that was one of the things they specifically asked for. Do you have gaiters? And I went, yes, I do. I pulled them out, and they were still in the plastic, and they went, right, very good, no worries about that. So yeah,
Yeah, it's probably a good tip actually. And also coming back from New Zealand, I'd give yourself time to clean all your kit because they've got all those horrible friggin' spear grasses and they're a bitch to get out. I mean, I was just fortunate mine were fairly tidy. I'd had a day or two after our trip before I went back, but yeah, it's even your boots. Like you have to be anal with your boots. Even in the tongue of your boots where they all join and your laces just start. I found a heap of dirt in there, and I didn't think about it. I was worried about the bottom, but it's all around your laces and things like that. Like they are pretty onto all the dirt and stuff, which is you understand it too. But yeah, give yourself time to clean everything if you are going anywhere outside of Australia. Definitely need to do that.
yeah. I made a bit of a faux pas when I came back from New Zealand last year. I literally walked off the hill on the morning that I had to fly out. And there was a snowstorm on at the time and so forth. And anyway, jumped in the car, got the rental car back, dropped it off, and I literally rocked up to the airport in my hunting pants with, that was still wet and muddy, and all my boots muddy and so forth. And got on the plane. I got back to Australia, and customs were not that impressed when I got back to Australia because I had
Yeah,
that take
no,
my
definitely
boots and
give
go and
them
clean them.
time.
Yeah, so I spent about an hour at customs there with them cleaning things and going through everything. But anyway, so yeah, you land. You guys got picked up. Where to from there?
So we got picked up in Christchurch, and we went to the hunting and camping store because that's important to go there first.
Oh,
And I must admit,
absolutely.
it's bloody amazing.
Yeah.
I should get the name for you actually because it's friggin' amazing there. The store was brilliant, and I was a bit filthy. I didn't make myself time to go fly fishing because the fly selection there is amazing.
Was
So
that
we went to the store and stuff and did all the usual.
Was that Ballinger's at the hunting and fishing store at Christchurch, the big green building?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, it's such a good store. But don't go there unless you got money to spend because it's bloody brilliant.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, a little treasure trove. Anyway, we did a little stop there, and then we headed out to Hokitika. I hope I've pronounced that quite correctly. And we stopped there, just got a few bits and pieces, and then went out to a little bit further on to Ross, which is where one of the girls lives, and really kindly housed us for a couple of days before we flew out on the chopper. And it was absolutely pissing with rain. And we ended up leaving a day later on the chopper because it was just wet. And I mean, you didn't get a reprieve at all either. It was just constantly wet. I mean, a lot of Kiwis just say you just dress wrong for the weather, which is so true. And they are happy to go out in anything in the West Coast. So we arrived in, and we were going to, we just went out for a drive actually with Ellie and dress place. So even if you're not into hunting, you're just into outdoors.
Sorry,
It's a
you dropped
area.
out for a bit then. So I got up to you went for a
Oh,
drive.
sorry. Oh, we went and picked up the pig dogs, and Ellie took us out, and we went out for just a bit of a drive and to give them a run. They hadn't had a run for a day or two,
Mm-hmm.
and Ellie takes them out every day pretty much. So these dogs were just gagging to get out and go for a run.
Mm.
Um, and so she took us out to some of her local spots she goes to. So that was really nice to see them in action and just get out and about and start having a look around. Then the next day it was still so wet. So we got a bit of our kit just organised, broke down what we needed to and set up what we needed to get ready to go out. Went and dialed in our bows, a couple of us that were bow hunting. Picked up some groceries and stuff, and then we went out for another drive again and just got to see a few of the things around the local area while we waited before we could go out in the chopper.
Mm-hmm. Now, Ellie works, or her family owns a helicopter company, I understand.
Yeah, so Ellie's in-laws, it's Precision Helicopters, and they're brilliant. They're all really, really friendly and just so fun. And they were really kind. They donated to our trip. They donated a big chunk of money to be able to make it happen as well, which everyone appreciated.
Mm.
Because it made it possible. Like, it made it possible for me to come and within our budget to be able to sort of afford to go as well.
Yep.
So Lily is her sister-in-law, and she's one of the pilots there, and she was amazing. Got to have a bit of yarn to her on the way out, and it was actually my first time in a chopper ever. So I snagged the front seat, which is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, on the day they took us out, it was good. It was part cloudy, part sunshine, so it was actually a good day to head out. And they took us out, and we went to a place called Noisy Basin, and just postcard worthy. It's beautiful, and you really have to go to see it. The pictures don't do it justice as when you're there, and you just so we landed just literally across from where we needed to camp, which was really great for me, so we didn't have to hike for too long with all of our crap. But they were so good. Dropped us off, and we set up camp, and then that was us for the first night, because after probably about 20 minutes of being there, it just absolutely pissed down with rain.
Yeah, that was one thing that I found. I've been in New Zealand twice now, and both times same thing. The camera just doesn't do it justice, and you try and take photographs to capture the view that you're witnessing, or film something that you're experiencing, and you come back and you watch it and you think that is not even close. It's not even 10%. So yeah, I actually gave up trying to take photos and video. My hunt there, I'd planned on filming it. I had 2 cameras that I borrowed off a mate, and after the first sort of venture out and trying to film and so forth, I just thought this is pointless. I'm not even going to bother carrying the weight now.
Yeah, and I think sometimes you can get caught up in trying to film things, as well as, like, you part want to film it, you want to capture it and share your story. And part of me loves that part, is trying to get all the pictures. Like, Lucy did a great job. She filmed bits and pieces. Courtney, she filmed a lot as well. I'd say, I think she's probably doing her own version of it. I really need to extract a digit and do mine, because I did get good footage, even if it just shows the area. And probably just to pay a little thanks to Lucy and Ellie for organising it and extending the invite to myself, but to Precision Helicopters as well for getting us out there and getting us home safely. But it is, it's just such a pretty friggin' place. And when you rock up there and you just land, it's unreal. You just sort of, you don't feel like you're in a real place, really. I don't think it's hard to describe, right, until you've been there and in mountains and just in the thick of it. Especially since I haven't really. I mean, I'd been to New Zealand previously when I was younger, but I mean, I was working and drinking and catching up with people, so I didn't really do the travel. But when we got there, we rocked up and landed, and decided on where we were going to set up our tents and things, which Lucy and Ellie already had an idea of what they were doing. They'd planned it all, so great. But we looked up, and at the very back of the basin, so you've got sort of hills all around you. If you can imagine, you're sort of in the middle of this basin area. There's mountains all around you, and you look at the far end, and all you see is this big, heavy, thick cloud, and you think, don't know if we're going to be dry after that. So we sort of set up our camp, made a coffee, and then we sort of thought, well, we'll wait. It might pass over, and then we'll go out for an evening hunt, which was what we were going to do, because at the time it wasn't getting dark until sort of probably about 9:45 at night. So we would have had heaps of time to go out. So, yeah, we bunkered down once we all got our tent sorted. And we came out, I think, about 6-ish. It cleared for 5 minutes, and then it came again.
Yep.
And I think by the time we got to poke our head out, it was 9:15. So it was sort of dusk then. And I couldn't figure out, while I was in my tent, I was getting so bloody cold. Like, obviously I knew it'd been raining, but I mean, I had my sleeping bag just laying over my hunting pants and stuff. I changed into my winter hunting pants. I put an extra jumper on, and I put bloody thick socks on, and I was going, what is going on? Anyway, I hear this little laugh from one of the other tents, and I hear Ellie go, oh, look, there's a nice dusting of snow on all the top of the bloody mountains. I thought, well, there you go. That's why I was so bloody cold. And you came out, and it looked so pretty. I mean, it was really nice, but geez, you think in December, when it's meant to be summer, you wouldn't be getting a light dusting of snow. But yeah, it was nice. It was part of our trip. It wasn't ideal, but I think that's where you got to sort of sidestep, right, and adapt and just make what you can of it.
Yep, that's right. And I guess that sort of highlights as well, why you do kind of need to be, when you're, backcountry hunting like that, why preparation is so key, because there is the odd chance that you do get odd weather, really out of season weather happening, because the mountains create such a variable sort of factors in terms of the weather. It's not unheard of for even Victoria and New South Wales to get really cold weather during summer and that sort of thing. So and yeah, definitely New Zealand's one of those places where it'll throw everything at you.
Yeah, and I think that's probably one of the most fun parts, though, is you can be as prepared as you want to be. You can have your raincoat. We all had coats. We all had the gear. And you can be as prepared as you want to be, but I think you just have to relinquish some of the control and just go, well, we'll take as it comes. Because, I mean, we were in the chat group that they started before when they first invited me on the trip, and I said yes. I got invited into the chat group, and we did a video chat to sort of answer off any questions. We had people coming over from America for it as well. So, I mean, they were traveling way further than me. And I mean, and I will take the piss out of Ellie, like I sort of constantly did, because I sort of laughed when she was going, oh, it's going to be so hot. And I was like, yeah, your version of hot and mine are two different things, mate. And Carla lives in Queensland as well, so she's used to the hot weather. And she was laughing, and I said, no, but like, sort of what will we need in respect to sleeping kit? We'd still need a sleeping bag, right? And then but will we need a super one for the super cold climates, or just a mediocre? And Ellie just goes, no, just a roll mat and a fly net. You'll be absolutely fine, And I kept sort of laughing throughout the trip, especially when it was pissing with rain, just going, you know what you need for this trip? Just a fly net and a roll mat. That's all you need. That's all you need, Ellie. Yeah. So that was sort of like the running joke by the end, because it was just pissing with rain. But you know what? The next day, we all sort of had dinner and whatnot, and just sort of got an early night. And the next day you stepped out and you just would not have got better weather. Okay, I mean, it was just picture perfect. It was blue skies, and you had the beautiful little white right up the top of the hills, and there wasn't too much wind that it was squally or anything like that. It was a super magic day, to the point where we all got sunburned as well, because they were saying, bring your sunscreen, which we all did and we used. But yeah, it was kind of funny, because you went from snow one day and to the sunshine the next. But it was nice to get that contrast too. I guess it just shows you how interchangeable everything can be, and how much you've just got to be as prepared as you can, and then just roll the punches and try to play that to your advantage.
Thanks for joining me on this session of Friends of the Podcast. And today I am joined by Kieran from Arctos Coolers. Kieran, welcome. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah. So, Kieran, Arctos Coolers, you're based in Queensland. Now, coolers is a not quite exactly everything you're doing, is it? So, I guess if we can start with you sort of giving us a bit of background about yourself, the company that you're running there, and how it came to be.
Yeah. Well, my background, I've always been into extreme sports, competing, I've worked full-time as a skydiving instructor, did a lot of base jumping, traveling around the world, so like hard, fast things I love, the speed, and good, solid, good quality, top quality, solid equipment is necessary in that to keep things safe and to make it last, so all that standard's kind of inbuilt in me. And being in North Queensland, I'm up in the Whitsundays, it gets quite warm up here. I've been keeping an eye out for a cooler. I've wanted one for a long time, and those little styrofoam ones, the ice melts before you even get to the barbecue, and they fall apart, and you don't even get to take them home, So I got sick of buying them, and so I've always wanted a really solid cooler. And the only thing that came up that I really liked several years back now was an American brand, and it was built. They're built solid. I'm like, yeah, they tick all my boxes. The ice lasts, you can carry them around, throw them everywhere. I want something like this, but when I saw the price, I almost had a heart attack. This is crazy. And so I did a bit of researching, and then got me into the manufacturing thing. So I like making stuff. And during COVID, I also owned a commercial gym in the Whitsundays.
Right.
And we got shut down for quite a fair while, and that almost sent us bankrupt. We weren't too far off that from the closures. It was pretty painful, and just sitting back trying to figure out what I'm going to do, what the future's going to hold, and I saw a lot of online stores. Basically, that style of business just flourished, and I went, well, maybe I'll go back to looking at my cooler option, and then I can sell to people online. And then I started researching places that can make it for me, and then it kind of just went from there. Like I got in contact with a few manufacturers, a couple of them I really like, and then I got prototypes made up. I changed things a few times, invested a couple of years into getting stuff that I wanted, and and then just getting the whole heap made up, and then it went from there. And then I showed it to some friends, and they absolutely love them. And they said, "Oh, you need drink bottles." So I end up getting into some drink bottles and the coffee tumblers and things like that as well. So it's kind of branched out a little bit from there.
Yep.
And so the quality, we've gone the best quality we can try to keep hold of, instead of just getting something cheap and nasty. But we can do it at much cheaper price than what the American brand is doing it. So once I realised, I can sell them for this, and they're a couple $100 cheaper, I'm like, wow, that's a massive price difference. So I think we can help the general public get something a bit more affordable with the same quality, if not better.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah. So the range then, like I've been on the website, I've had a bit of a look. So you're doing eskies and drinkware and that sort of thing as well. And I think you got a bit of merch there from memory as well, haven't you?
Yeah, we got some caps. They're really nice caps. They're more dressy style caps. They're good. We got a couple of t-shirts we got made up for some of the staff to wear, and took them to events and gave them away at some of the expos and stuff we've been to. So just promoting the brand, really.
Yeah.
That just just a point there you made when you mentioned the word esky. That's actually a company name.
Ah, yes. Yes,
Yeah. So the products are crullers. So years, I think now, I think I'm correct in saying this, but many decades ago, esky came out with their own branded cruller, and as we grow up, I grew up knowing that product was an esky, thinking they all were, but it's a brand that's been around for decades, and they've done a great job over the years. So I just want to make sure that everyone knows it's a particular branded product like that. That is the same as that's the same as to Arctos, but they're both crullers.
Yeah. It's like the Kleenex sort of phenomenon. Yeah. Everybody associates a tissue as a Kleenex when. Yeah,
that's right. It's actually a brand. Their tissue. Kleenex makes a tissue. So just want to make sure all the listeners sort of understand that.
Yeah, no, that's right. I don't want to be sued for copyright infringement or something. So the coolers that you've got, then take us through the range there.
Yep. Okay. So the ones we've got at the moment, we've got what we call the Traveller range. They've got wheels on them, so they're easy to travel with. We've got our 35 litre one, and they got a little handle at the back. They're more like a square, boxy shape with a pull-up handle at the back, and they wheel a bit like a suitcase. And you can load heaps of products on top of the cooler. It leans against the handle, and you got a second hand free. Then you've got all logged on there. And then we've got a 55 litre and a 75 litre, which is our biggest range. And then in our stablemate ones, they're the ones without wheels. We've got a 25 litre one. They're like more like an oversized lunchbox, I guess, awesome for a tradie to have in the back of the ute. Whole heaps of food and drinks. And then we jump up to the 55 and 75 litre in that range as well. Point of difference we went with them is our colour range. White's pretty popular with coolers, so everyone loves it. White's a pretty solid, safe colour. Everyone likes that. So white's in all the ranges. In the range up to the 35 litres, we've got a pink, and it's just been it's our number one seller. Like the pink, it's a beautiful pink colour, and everyone loves it. Everyone comments on that one. And then the other colour we got in that range is also black. I've got myself a black one. It looks mint. I love black on black. It's just so nice. And then in the 75 litre cooler, we dropped the pink out because they are getting pretty big, and we brought in an army green colour for that one.
No, I see the wheels, the ones with the wheels, the Traveller range there. It's a good idea because, as a single man, when you've got a big esky, it's a lot to drag around on your own. So having a set of wheels on it, definitely comes in handy.
That's right. Yeah, the 55 litre, a strong guy, a big strong guy may pick that up and put it in the back of the ute when it's fully loaded, because you're going to get quite a fair bit of food and drinks in that one along with the ice. The 75 litre, you're going to struggle because it's a big size, and to lift that weight in that basically body position where you've got to stretch out is a bit too heavy. So the wheel ones make it easy to wheel around, and so we've got a solid handle on that one on the opposite side of the wheel, so it's easy to wheel around, and it's also got your rope handle, so you can pick it up and carry it with two people as well. So like a couple of different handle options on it.
All right, very cool. So other than the coolers, then you've got the drinkware. Yeah,
so we've been playing around with our drinkware a little bit the last 18 months or so, and just trying to come up with just a nice design, nice shape, what works best for functionality, and just some different colours. The ones we've got now are V2 options. They look kind of a little bit similar to some other brands, but there's some minor points that we have difference in, different colours and things like that. So there we've got the 1.1 litre bottles in stock at the moment, and I'm just about to put an order in for our 1.9, nearly 2 litre bottles. I've got some white prototypes in about 3-4 months ago, and I've given to a range of friends. I use it every day. It's a perfect size for me. My 1 litre one, I'm 6'1", and I like training at the gym, so I go through a bit of water, and if I put a bit of ice in it, the ice will last all day, but it reduces the amount of water you've got. And I just found that I was topping up the water quite frequently for myself. The girls said it's heaps for them. That works well. But then I got my 2 litre one. I dump heaps of ice in it, and then I just hardly ever fill it up. I fill it up twice through the day, but it gets me through a solid workout or quite a few hours working outside if I'm outside doing stuff.
Yep.
And it's awesome. It's been working really well, and I've got a couple of local shops that are stocking the drinkware, and they said, let me know when your 2 litre bottles come in. We want to put them in store. So I'm like, yep. So we'll be just talking to the manufacturing shop at the moment on what colours we're going to go with and sort of what little adjustments we'll make. So they won't be too far off until they get here. So. And then we got some coffee tumblers, our new style tumbler range. We just went with a grey option just for this first run. Yep. And for me, again, I love my coffee in the morning. I got a big pot of coffee that brews automatically every morning for me, and I go through a bit of coffee when I first wake up. And the 590 mils is a perfect size for me. It's that product in my 2 litre bottle. Out of all the drinkware that we've got, they're my favourites. Yeah. So they're the new ones. So I'm really impressed with those ones. So yeah.
Yeah, all right. And the drinkware and the coffee tumbler, are they all insulated or are they single skin?
No, they're double insulated and vacuumed. Yeah. So you can put hot or cold in it, and then you can hang on to the outside of it, and the temperature outside, you won't even know what's in it. Yeah. By holding it. So. And they'll keep. I had my coffee in there for 3-4 hours, and it's still hot to drink.
Yeah. Right.
Yep. Yeah. So it's great.
I never have a cup of coffee that lasts 3 to 4 hours. It's.
Well, I have one when I'm getting ready. I get through almost the 5. I bet 2/3 of the way through, and then right as I'm about to walk out the door, I grab the pot off of my coffee machine. I'll fill it back up again, and then I go straight to work. I'm only 4 minutes away from the office, and then I sit there and I run around. I have a couple of mouthfuls, and I go back out, start working, and then come back, have a couple of mouthfuls, go back. So the second stint on my coffee morning routine is spaced out a fair bit, and yeah.
Now you guys are online. Do you have these in stores anywhere or a shop front as well?
Yeah, so we started off just with a website. We got a website, GS Sports, with a Z at the end, not an S. That's our Australian website, online retailer. So all the online sales go through there. You can contact us through there as well. And then our local shops up here in the Whitsundays, we've got a few of them. We've got Whitsunday Power Sports Marine. They're the Yamaha dealer up here for the boats and outboard motors and all that. They have jet skis and stuff. So they've got the range of coolers in store. Early brake and suspensions, four-wheel drive mechanic shop. They love the products. They've got a couple of coolers there and some of the drinkware. And then we've got the Astron service station, the petrol station, coming as you come. First one is you're coming into Early Beach. They've got the drink bottles and the coffee tumblers, and also Cuttable Roadhouse, which is another survey. It's a little bit closer to Mackay, and they've got the same drinkware down there as well. Yeah, right. So they saw them and went, that'll be fantastic for travellers coming through. They want to pick up their coffee, because normally when you go to the servo and get a coffee, you've got those little plastic cups or whatever, and try and drink out of them with the plastic lids, and I've spilt coffee all down myself driving because they're over hot, and they're a bit difficult. So they thought these were a fantastic idea. They said they've been a hit at the servos. Yeah. So
right. Okay.
Yeah. So yep.
All right.
And Mackay. Sorry, and one other place in Mackay, Intersport Mackay's got a couple of the coolers down there as well.
Okay. And so how do you go for shipping then, particularly being a big because everything's charged by volume.
That's the shipping has. Well, since we've got them in, and we will dispatching a lot of them off the Geosports website. The shipping has now just increased ridiculous price with the fuel and everything going up, and the shipping kills us. That's what pretty much slowed us right down and put a bit of a halt, because the shipping costs are phenomenal. Because our 35 litre cooler, it's like, I think it's about 11 kilos in total, and if we want to send it out of the state, it's costing us over $100. And it's only a small box. Like, it's not a oversized box, and like anyone can just pick it up and throw it around. So, but just the volume, they look at the volume and as well as the weight, and it kills the online shopping having something of that size. So that's why we sort of went out and sort of saw a couple of the local shops, and they said, yeah, we'll put them on there, and that way I can just drop them off to them at the moment, and they can sell them in store. Works well. But any retailers looking for them will work out sort of quantities, and I could probably go for a drive or work out sort of how much shipping is, and if we do a bulk, get a truck and do a bulk run or something like that. So, but shipping's made it awfully difficult for us on within Australia, just to the cost of it. Yeah.
Oh well. Look,
that's one struggle we haven't figured out yet.
Yeah. Look, I don't know how you're going to get around that, unfortunately. But
no,
I guess if
anyone's got any ideas, just let us know, please.
Yeah. Look, and I guess hopefully the word will spread, and a few more retailers will pick it up, and then it'll be more available across the state. But I see. I meant to raise this before, but in terms of the construction for the coolers, there, your motto is they're polar bear proof, and I can see you've got like stainless reinforcing in the corners for the padlock.
Yeah. So the coolers, they're roto molded, which is basically how roto molded happens. It rotationally mold, so has a lot of material goes into a big mold, and it goes in like a big thermos, and it spins it like a almost like a triple axis style thing. So it rotates not just the way the Earth goes, but imagine the Earth spinning 360 left to right, but also top to bottom, rolls around, and all that material melts and it forms a plastic, and as it spins, it forces all the plastic to the outside of the mold. And then that cures in there, so it's one solid piece of plastic. There's no welding in it at all, so it makes it a stronger product. And it's a double layered. And then what happens when it comes out of the thermos? We then force inject polyurethane foam in it. Now polyurethanes are really dense, such minimal air bubbles in it, so which increases the strength of the product, and also increases the insulation of it. So you can jump up and down on those things all day long, and they won't go out of shape. Like, they're rock solid. But that creates the ice retention. Doing that, as far as like, that's polyurethane. Styrofoam, it's got big air bubbles. It's soft wax. It'll crumble in your hand. Then that's the difference between the foam and how they're made. The stainless steel bits you're talking about, they're actually added onto the corners. One's got a bottle opener. Some of the range has got a bottle opener in it. Some of the fancy bees don't have twist tops. And then on the other side, it's got, as you mentioned, a padlock point. So when you close the lid, you can put a padlock through the top and bottom and lock it up so no one steals your bees, basically. So, yeah.
Keep the polar bears out, like you say.
Keep the polar bears, yeah. Well, the name Arctos, we looked at what we're going to come up with. It's got a few meanings. Arctos, what we found, it was Greek for polar bear, and polar bear is the most fiercest animal on the planet, apparently. So we found. So living up there in the polar climate, it'd have to be pretty solid. So, and it also means from northern lands, and we're up in North Queensland, and it all kind of fit. So we'll adopt that name. And call it Arctos Adventures.
Very cool. All right. So now, are you open to doing branding with companies if they wanted to bring out their own range with business names and stuff like that on it?
Yeah, so we can customize products as well. So we can put, depending on the company, what logo and stuff like that, we can get their logos put up on the products. The bottles, we've already done a big collab with a place called Rome Oz. They're like adventure, all the showcases all the different places in Australia that we can go travel, and they're doing a big fundraiser for wildlife, protection of wildlife at the moment. So we've done up a whole batch of the 1.1 litre bottles for them and got the Rome Oz logo on one side and the wildlife protection on the other side of the bottle.
Right.
So anyone who buys those bottles, I think it's $10 per bottle is donated to wildlife rescue.
Okay.
So and they come up really nice. The logos look mint on them, I got to say. So so the guys are really happy with them. So they're things we can do with the products as well.
Okay. All right. Very cool. All right. So you've got the website gssports.com.au. Anywhere else people can go and find you, have a look, reach out to you, that sort of thing?
Yep. So we've got a web page just for Arctos, just for info, just on the product page at arctos.com.au.
Yep.
And then we've got our Instagram page, Arctos Coolers, Arctos_coolers. And that's probably, we put all our social media stuff up on that one. So we're pretty active on that one. So social media guy, he goes out, gets all the shots and does a fantastic job with that. So he's really good at social media. I'm not much good at that. I can barely open the app. So.
No worries, mate. Well, Kieran, thanks again for coming on and sharing all that information.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you for having me. And hopefully some of the listeners jump on board and can make use of some of the products.
Yeah.
So that's an awesome product. So we're an Australian company too. So
very important.
So everything stays within the country.
Great. So next day you got out for a hunt then?
Yeah. So I had sort of mentioned that I would have been happy to bow hunt or rifle hunt, given the opportunity. So I was just happy to have a crack, and I just want to get on the board really. Still happy to do either. I sort of have grown up being able to shoot rifle anyway. I've sort of learnt, and then practicing down the rifle range with Brett still. So I was happy with either. So I took off with Ellie, Lucy and Courtney, and Sarah and Carla took off each a separate way to go bow hunting for the day. And so we were doing a lot of glassing, which was good for me again. It's something I haven't done a lot of, so I was still learning. And I've also noticed, and talking to people within the community and things, everyone sort of glasses a wee bit differently. They all have a similar approach, I guess, but everyone sort of has these own little nuances that they kind of do. So it's kind of neat to learn all those. So, and they're all really experienced hunters too. So I was really fortunate to be mixed within that caliber of women and learning what I can, especially in a different country. So we sort of hit up the guts and we went up, and we'd sort of be traveling, I guess, 150 meters, 200 meters sort of at a time, and would sit and glass. And we sort of traveled up, and it was getting warm quite quickly, especially for over there. And so we saw a few animals, and then we got right up the top of the sort of the basin before you really punch right up the next hill, which would have taken you over the back of the section we were in. And we were sort of hunting around and just waiting because there were a few shadows moving around higher up. So we just sort of got our something. We waited, and one came down out of ourselves comfy, and we waited. I think it was 380 yards, meters away, and he bedded up, and we sort of thought, oh, this is good because he's sort of munching his way down, and we're going to wait here. We'll be able to, get this. And so we're waiting there. He got back up again, and we were really hopeful by this stage because it was getting quite warm in the day, where we thought, well, everything's just going to take a hiatus, and we'll have to go back for some lunch. And he got back up again, and we thought, oh, brilliant, he's going to keep moving down. And he didn't. He just took a few steps back and bedded himself right up against this rock. And we thought, well, there's no point. He's not going to kind of move now. So we sort of just started heading back down. And took a little breather for lunch and were just sort of enjoying chatting and getting other stories from the girls, I guess, really. And because I am nosy and I'm happy to talk, and they were happy to share, I guess I was just asking them for any advice or just listening to their hunting stories and things and taking anything I could or tidbits that I think would be useful for myself.
Okay. And were you specifically there chasing chamois, or were you sort of open to whatever crossed your path?
Me personally, whatever crossed my path, I'd take a bloody rabbit, pig, a goat, whatever I could get, really. But and yeah, if we could. So by the time we had our break over lunch and we sort of had a bit of a chill out and waited for the heat to dial down, by the time we headed out, it was probably 6 o'clock. So just before 10. So I took off with Ellie. Sarah and Carla had come back and unfortunately were unsuccessful. Sarah actually bumped into two people at the hiking, which was just so odd because you're in the middle of nowhere expecting that you're not going to bump into anyone.
Yep.
And she walked into these two hikers. She's like, look, well, we're out hunting, so wide berth probably. So they sort of chilled out at camp. Lucy and Courtney went back up the guts. They really wanted to get that chamois. And so Ellie and I took off over the back way and we were going after some deer because there were 3 or 4 water holes that they knew that they'd come in the evening time. So we sort of went to a known path that the deer would take. And Ellie took me and I left my bow and was just going to go for a rifle because that time of evening it would have been difficult. But the country was harsh. Pretty sparse of what you could kind of hide behind as well. And I guess for myself, who's such a beginner, I sort of was trying to eliminate the possibilities of scaring or bumping an animal away when I could have had the opportunity to shot. So I just thought I spoke to Courtney, who has been hunting rifle and bow all her life. She's American and she's over here. And I sort of said to her, what do you think would be the best as well? So I did take advice and she just sort of said, look, your best chances are probably rifle. So that's what we did and we took off and we climbed right around the back of the ponds and went up really high and tucked ourselves along a really nice ridge just in amongst some rocks and some monkey grass there. And on the way we bumped a deer and he kind of took off pretty quick. And then so we got ourselves set up and we were only there 15, 20 minutes maybe before another 2 deer came around. They're about 280 yards away, but over on the other face away from us. So I did take a shot and it was a solid shot. I was worried over because he'd get up. He sort of staggered and looked like he was going to fall down again. And so I'd passed the rifle to Ellie and just said, look, can you have another shot to make sure? Because the last thing I wanted was this bloody animal to go, not be a decent shot, not get the kill, and have an animal wounded out there. I think no hunter wants that. And regardless of what's written, nobody wants an injured animal kicking around the bush. So she did another shot and it was solid and he looked like he was going to park it. He'd sort of spun around a wee bit and he wobbled on his feet and it was like he just had a second bloody breath of air and he punched up the top of the hill and disappeared. So Ellie, who was way quicker than me, she's like, look, I'm just going to get after this thing. Just follow me, basically. So I did that and obviously a lot slower pace. But the time was at the top of this next peak, which, I mean, it was like climbing up a bloody ladder and I had a pack on and I was climbing up using bloody monkey grass and all the spear grasses to hold on to push yourself up. And, I mean, it was a bit wet there as well. There was like little gullies that you'd sort of slip into and stuff. So it was a challenge, but by the time I got there, Ellie was already over at the next peak as well, just, following the blood trail. And she said it was all heavy blood and there was lots there, plenty of things. So it was a decent shot, but we couldn't retrieve it. We went to go over to the next rise. But by that stage, it was already 20 past 9, and it was starting to sort of get dark already. So we sort of had to make the decision to leave it. Unfortunately, we weren't very happy about it, but we thought if we get time in the morning, we'll come back out and keep looking as well. But Ellie actually went on to the next rise, and I mean, it was heavily blooded, but she couldn't find the animal, so we missed out on retrieving that, which was a real kick in the guts for myself, considering it would have been my first animal, but also the fact that you're not 100% sure if the animal's dead either. And it never sits nicely.
No.
By the time we climbed back down the hill and got over the creeks and all sorts of stuff, it was already 10:15 by the time we got back to camp. But fortunately, Courtney had got that chamois, so that was really, we were all buzzing for her. We were really excited about that, and it was actually the one from earlier on the day. He'd sort of moved a bit further down toward us, and so they'd had to climb all the ledges and jump all the rocks and streams and stuff as well, and had quite the eventful time getting that animal back as well. So yeah, we were buzzing.
Yeah, nice. Did you end up eating any of the chamois on the mountainside, or did you bring him back?
No, I brought it back, and Courtney took the head for the head mount as well. But no, we didn't end up trying any. So I did laugh and say I'll have to come back and have another crack so I can get a taste. But they very kindly, I stayed with Ellie and her family. They opened up their doors to me for another 2 nights, which was really kind of them. And her and her husband cooked up some venison for me, so I was pretty stoked with that. Got some fish as well. Happy days.
Very cool. So how many more days were you up in the mountain for after that day?
So we had the next morning, and then we were getting picked up. So really we only had one full day hunting, and we had 1.5 days for hunting, but it was just unfortunate that when we flew in, we got the rain. That really took up another half day, because it would have ended up being 2 days hunting. So we left the next morning at 11. It was a nice enough day out. We had a few chamois pop up early in the morning, but they sort of just weren't in the correct positions for any decent shots or anything, and they didn't venture further down the hill. So that was all we got to hunt for that trip. I was fortunate enough that when we came back down the hill, and the rest of the girls left, I was there on my own. Ellie and her husband took me out pigging, so that was really fun. And Ellie got a pig that day, so that was really cool to see her in action. Especially that's really her passion, where her passion lies. And she's bloody amazing. So that was fun to go out with her and watch the dogs work too, which in anything I enjoy watching the dogs work if that's their function. With farm work as well, and working dogs, I always love watching them, but seeing them in a hunting sort of situation was brilliant. But yeah, that was good. So yeah, I got a bit of extra time. I was fortunate. But yeah, up in the hills and up in the mountains, it was only really a day and a half with the rain. So yeah, I definitely want to go back up there and have another crack.
Would you do a similar sort of thing, or would you, how do you think your next trip would look for you in terms of like hiking in versus choppering in, that sort of thing?
I think you'd probably have to chopper in for a lot of the areas if you want to go backcountry style, from what I understand, and like talking to other people and just watching YouTube films of other people. But I think I'd probably want to chopper in again and go a little bit further out where we were. Have to be a little bit more independent on yourself and your skill, I guess, which I like. I like that challenge, and I think everyone probably gets a wee bit nervous whether you've done it a million times or it's new. I think you sort of have that excitement of an area you don't know, the unknown a little bit, and that's probably what feeds into my enjoyment, and probably what made it so special for me is that we were relying on ourselves. You've got all your GPSs and you've got all of your comms that you need if something happens. But there's just something nice of being a bit removed from it all. So I probably would love to do the same thing. I'd love to go with Brett, actually. But yeah, another women's trip, I'd love to do the same thing again. I find it really good, and I love the promotion of women in the field, and probably encouraging other women to get out amongst it is probably a big passion of mine too. I think it's important.
Yeah. Well, there's backcountry huts there too as well. I think I read somewhere that the South Island has something like 900 odd huts on it. So you'll often see, YouTube videos of hunters over there. They'll get chopped into a hut and then, hike out a couple of days from there and sort of remote remote camp and then end up circling back to that hut, or doing a through hike to another hut and that sort of thing, and having that as a bit of a backup in case there's some bad weather. Or it's there's a lot of options over there and a lot of public land as well.
Yeah, I think it's sad that we don't follow suit with that as well, and that we don't sort of keep that style going for Australia. I think it'd be so beneficial to encourage that, but they don't seem to sort of want to follow it here. If anything, they just want to death by restrictions. I think I've heard someone else mention before, and it really is that, and it's sad. I mean, the hunting community over in New Zealand is so bloody strong. I mean, where we were in particular, I mean, people get home from work, they finish their 9 to 5, they come home and they're like, oh, what are we doing? We've got to cut layers. Oh, let's go pigging. And they just grab their dogs, they grab their kids, go out. It's really not sort of stuck to one line of people. I mean, it's women, it's children, it's adults, it's everyone, and I think it's good. Like, everything has its pitfalls as well, but I just think it's so healthy for them. It's not just hunting. I mean, they go camping, they go fishing. I mean, some of them go panning for gold here and there. They're just in the outdoors and they live and breathe it. And it's probably something I feel like we have lost a lot just in general. But it's sad that we don't follow that whole, like, keeping those huts maintained and using them, and using the country that we've got here and allowing people to go and use the area, and for the management of feral animals. It makes sense on so many levels, and I feel like we're just so disconnected from that. And it's pretty sad when you have to fly to another country to be able to embrace that and really enjoy it.
Yeah. I think there's two big differences between Australia and New Zealand in terms of hunting. So first and foremost, in New Zealand, it's part of their culture. It's endemic. Like, they have hunting courses and sort of semi-survival skill classes in public schools. So it's very much a part of their identity. I remember the last trip to New Zealand, I got over there, jumped in the rental car, turned the radio on, and the first ad I heard was for hunting and fishing stores. Come on down, we've got all your duck hunting needs, we've got decoys, we've got shot shells, blah blah blah, that sort of thing. And I thought, this is Twilight Zone. Like, there is no way you would hear an ad for a hunting store on the radio in Australia. In fact, if you tried to do it, they would probably refuse to actually play it. So that's the first big difference. And the second big difference, and that then breeds respect for the country as well. So one of the big things I noticed over there, in all the walking, all the places I went, and the huts and that sort of thing, there was no rubbish laying around. Like, there was nothing left behind. People didn't graffiti on things. There was a really true level of respect for the country over there. And you go to a public place in Australia, you go to some of the parks, the state parks, campgrounds, public campgrounds and so forth in New South Wales and Queensland and Victoria, like I've been, and there's rubbish everywhere. A number of times I've been in the backcountry somewhere, walking along, and you'll find, D-high meal packets and,
people leaving their bloody toilet paper and not picking it up, shoving it in a bag.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, there is that element in Australia which doesn't seem to exist over there. If it does exist, they do a very good job of covering it up or cleaning up after themselves. And the other thing is that New Zealand, the government there particularly recognises what a huge tourism draw card and financial resource this is for their country. That people go over there, spend thousands of dollars over there in their country just for the privilege of going hunting. So that's not something that the Australian government is prepared to recognise. They probably know it. They've been presented with the information over many years through different organisations, but they're just not going to recognise it and do something about it at this stage anyway. So that's my public comment. That's my gripe, rant over. So I want to circle back to now your, the learnings, and then I want to talk about your specific kit that you took and what you'll do differently next time. So, what were some of the big takeaways for you on this trip as a female hunter and as a new hunter as well?
Probably as a new hunter, I think it's important to really try to get as much advice as you can on the area you're going, like more area specific, because every area is different. So different places in Australia will have different little tidbits that you'll need to know, and also the caliber of people you're going with, and just the experience. I mean, there's no point being a novice and going with a novice. You just, it's sort of like when you're in sport. If you play up and play with the higher levels, you're always going to play at a high level. You're always going to push yourself. And I think it's sort of probably, if you can just team up with someone who's had that bit more experience. So, for example, I was out with Ellie and I was walking down this hill and she just said, your boots are made for you to dig into the edge of the hill a little bit. So when you're climbing up, kick your foot in, punch your toe into the edge a wee bit. That's what it's for. Really anchor yourself in. And when you're coming down, do the same thing. Like really push your foot in. That's what it's for. And it sounds really dumb, but I've got really flat feet. I have insoles in my boots and all that. And I do them up tight when I go down the hills and all that sort of thing. And Brett's taught me a lot about foot care. You know, he's had a lot of experience and he's an ex-Marine, so he's had experience of looking after your feet, and they are what you need. They are your everyday, and if you don't look after them, you're buggered. So he really taught me a lot about that. And it is just little when you're out with people who are happy to share. And when you say, I'm a novice, I'm green as green, anything you have to give me, I would love to learn. So if you're open for it, people will share little bits that don't seem important at the time, but they are. I mean, New Zealand is just all hill. So if you get anything on how to hold your body, or, you know, things I've learned from Bet, like carrying your pack correctly, having it set right so it sits on you comfortably all day and it's not going to rub, or it's not going to sit there and bang against your back and create noise. Just minimizing your movement, minimizing your noise. There's so many things as a novice that you learn. It's probably difficult for me to pinpoint any particulars, which is not very handy for everyone listening, but it's just one of those things. I think as you go, you pick up so much. You're always taking on so much information that at the end of the day, you kind of forget what you've learned first, I think. So for me, shot process, just sticking to the steps you need to do to create that opportunity for a perfect shot. That's really important. Learning what gear you need to take for your short trips, just day in, day out, and then what for longer. And again, like I said, I need to learn to pack properly, so that's something I've got to start doing in the background. I don't know, and just practicing, whether it's rifle or archery. If you're new to it, just practice, just to get your confidence, because without that, you're buggered. The first trip I went on, I was I was not in a space where I was confident with my shot. But when I've gone on my first trip to New Zealand, I was a totally different bow hunter. From that trip to when I went this Easter, I stepped out on my own. Again, confidence has grown, but I think that's come from practice. So yeah, they're probably my three.
Yep. Okay. All right. I think the important thing too about learning is that it doesn't matter what stage you're at, how much experience, how many years you got under your belt. You know, everybody should have the capacity to learn, and you can learn from everybody. You know, there's whether you're, you know, I remember when I was on the tools years ago, one of my bosses said, I don't care if you're an apprentice or you're the boss, you can learn something from everybody. So yeah, if you go into it with that sort of mindset, then you will further yourself a lot quicker, because there's there's opportunity there for everybody to have a different sort of level of knowledge, and it might not be as thorough in certain areas, but it might be really subject specific. So I think that's a good point. If sort of you keep an open mind about listening to advice from people and then gauging it and then working out if that's something that you want to follow, if that's going to work for you, the hope is that you become a better hunter from everybody.
Yeah, and I think everyone is really happy to share too. That's probably one thing I've found. I haven't really found anyone that's told me to sort of pack up and piss off either. And since then, I've gone on a bow hunting course with two people who are pretty key in the industry or the community, and I learnt a lot from them. But even the guys we went on the course with, I've been chatting to them since here and there, and sort of it's nice to expand it. But I mean, a couple of those were learning still, but even we've shared a few things and gone, oh yeah, I didn't think about that. That's great, because it's just a different point of view will always give you a different experience that you may not have had. But I just think you have to be honest with yourself of where you're at. If you're happy to put your hand up and just say, hey, look, I'm new, I'm happy to get some help, or any stories you have to tell me too. And if you take the time and you're happy to put yourself out there, people are really happy to give back to that as well. They don't find that you're standing off, or if you're honest and just say, hey, what are you using that bit of kit for, or why would I take that? They're pretty happy to give you an answer too, and they don't take the piss out of you for not knowing. They're happy to have you on board. And I think that's probably one thing I've noticed about the community, and maybe it's also because I'm a female, I don't know. But everyone's been pretty bloody welcoming when I ask something, or, I step in just to say g'day. A lot of people are pretty happy to have a yarn with you and have a chat.
Yeah, oh, that's good to hear. All right, so in terms of your kit then, from a female-specific perspective, what were some of the things that sort of worked for you that you would recommend for other women?
Oh, you know what? Doesn't differ too much from what blokes take.
So were there particular brands like of clothing? Obviously, females traditionally have a very different body shape to men. So men's hunting clothes.
I jumped into. Sorry, you go.
No, I was just gonna qualify that and say that hunting clothes, because it's so male dominated, they're generally cut to fit the male body shape and not women.
I think really fortunate I've probably taken that when I have, because there are a lot of brands that are pushing into the female shape, and I guess I wasn't thinking of that when you said it was like my everyday kit. But I sort of kit myself out in Hunter's Element gear. I tried on a couple of their pants, and I'm pretty stocky. I'm a fairly solid woman. So I just needed something that I could try on and be set with. So I have their summer pants. I've got their winter pants. Find them really comfortable. And that is important. If you're in them all day long and you're sitting, then you're hiking, you really need something solid. So, yeah, the pants, I guess, I was pretty particular in. I wanted to be able to try them on. But I must admit, a lot of female hunters that I've come across, and I've met a lot of Americans, they're big on the QU, I think is how you say it. Massive. They're big fans of their kit. Yeah. I just never know how to say it properly. But yeah, so a lot of women are really big fans of their kit. But yeah, I'm a Hunter's Element kid, and I find their stuff really comfortable. I find it wears well. I've smashed it through the washing machine multiple times, and it's been fine so far. I haven't had a problem with it. So probably specific items as well as long sleeve shirts. Depending on who you get your advice from, you don't want a lot of skin showing, I guess, as well, because it sort of sticks out like a dog's balls in the grass. So I've just got a good couple of long sleeve tops. Some people like a hood and the face visor to come up. I just use the buffs, like the fishing buffs and stuff. You can get camo ones. I've just got one of those that I flick up and put back down. I'm not a big fan of hoods. Again, other people like them because it's just one and done. It's all in one kit and you just whack it on. I wear gaiters as well. helped in New Zealand, obviously not with snakes, but definitely with all the weeds and things, especially when you're wearing your light pants. Found them really, really handy. And other than that, sort of probably more female specific, not particularly that I can think of off the top of my head. I just feel like so I started off getting into the hunting field and finding all these little trips and things just by following other female hunters. And like I said, everyone's really, really open and happy to come back to you and stuff. And I did ask a few people that sort of had a similar frame to mine. I was like, look, what gear do you wear and where'd you get it? And keep an eye on it. And a lot of them sort of are happy to give you what they wear. And I mean, even stupid stuff down to like your bras and things like that, because it makes a difference, I guess, between comfort rubbing with the packs, because it sits, and obviously blokes don't have that issue. But you just ask the questions and they're all happy to share. Same with when you go into like your bows and things like that. Ask around. You can ask blokes and they'll give you their advice and all the technical stuff you want as well. But if you probably are more asking in regards to size-wise, try to find someone that sort of looks similar size to you and similar strength kind of thing, and ask them what they've used or what they can recommend. And if they've had that experience, they'll give you all the tips and tricks, and they'll offer you what is good and what is crap for them.
No, there's definite female-specific problems, like you mentioned before, like having to wear a bra, for example, and how that rubs on your pack or your bino harness or that sort of thing. And I mean, I can tell you, I've tried many different types of underwear over the years for backpack hunting, and now I've settled on some very specific ones that work well for me, and that's the sort of advice I give. But obviously for women, you're not going to be out there in your bras and things best, and you probably, I don't know, what are you using, sports bras, or how does that? What's the sort of
So this is the thing, like, people won't talk about it because they're like, oh, it's my bloody underwear. But I'm like, no, it's friggin' important, because the worst thing is same as socks. It's like those things that are actually key that you do want to be comfortable, but you're in it all friggin' day. And if you get sweaty and hot, you just have to be in it sweaty and hot. So you don't want to wear something that rubs. So yeah, I'm sports bra kid, and a lot of the other women were too. And just because you don't know if you're going to be climbing up a bloody rock face or sliding down a grass hill or jumping across rivers and all sorts. So I guess another thing is, when you are finding out where you're going, if you're going to be doing water crossings and things like that, you want stuff that's going to be able to dry, that is lightweight. You can hang over your tent when you get back to camp, and you can like put your socks up somewhere. I mean, people rave about the bamboo socks, but they take so fucking long to dry. It's not funny, Choose something that you can dry out, unless you're going home every night. It's little things like that I think you probably learn along the way. But again, people will offer those up to you. If you sort of say, hey, I'm going on a trip here, I've heard you've been, what can you tell me? Again, people are so happy to offer advice. And I mean, maybe because I'm nosy too, so I'll slide into anyone's DMs and be like, hey, I just want to know this, that, the other. Happy to share.
Yeah.
And sometimes, and most of the time they are happy.
Yeah, that doesn't work for me, Kate. Sliding into some female's DM saying, "Hey, what do you wear? What bra do you wear on your backpacking trip?" Then I get
can't understand that.
Yeah, who's this dirty old man? Block, delete. Yeah.
No, I guess it's site specific, but yeah, I think as a general whole, I feel like a happy little community to jump aboard on, and I think people just get excited when there's new people coming on board.
What boots were you running?
Oh, right. I've got Hunter's Element, and I can't even tell you what particular pair they are because my husband got those for me.
Right.
But we've both got Hunter's Element boots, and we're really happy with them. But the girls all ran lower boots, and they loved them. I mean, and they were literally straight out the box onto their feet, and away they went. They got all those, and they loved them. But yeah, I run Hunter's Element boots, and I'm really happy with them. And I've done a fair few Ks. I haven't done 3-day or 4-day back-to-back trips, and I know that's when some people have had a few issues with their boots, but yeah, I haven't had that problem, and I've done a fair few Ks tromping around the joint.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. And now I've taken the deep dive into bow hunting this year as well, so I got myself a setup, and I've
Good
been.
to hear it.
I actually put my rifle away at the start of the year and left it there, and I did all my hunting this year with a bow in hand. So I've been horribly unsuccessful, but thankfully I had a freezer full of meat anyway. Yeah, so I'm curious about your bow setup and arrows that you were running for the trip.
So I've got a Matthews Image, and I'm really enjoying it. I find it really comfortable to hold and walk around with, and it's yeah, I don't know. Again, I'm not a super technical person. I can't give you all the ins and outs of all the different moving parts. Again, I'm still learning all of that,
Mm-hmm.
but I find it really comfortable, and I love to use it. It's actually a bit of a joy to go and pick it up. Actually, it's probably just everything that comes with it. I enjoy in shooting the bow. I've got a Fast Eddie sight
Mm-hmm.
on mine as well,
Yep.
and it's a two pin. I don't know. I should have had all this written down. I'm useless with the tech stuff, and I do apologise, but I will get it all, and maybe you can put it in the show notes if people are really interested. Otherwise, if they want to come and be nosy and slide into my DMs, I can give them all the info as well.
Yep.
We use I can't even think of the arrows, and I'm slowly learning that. And again, I can't give you any technical information, so I do apologise, but I'm never one for remembering all the small finesse parts, so I'll definitely get you all the information for that. So it sounds like I'm a bit more put together.
Yeah. Oh, look, if you, well, hopefully you do get your YouTube vid put together, and yeah, you might be able to tack it on at the end of that, give it a breakdown.
Yeah, I think I will. I did say to Brett, it was one of the things that I was worried about coming on the podcast, because I was like, I just don't remember all technical information. And we were having a good laugh about that. And funny as it goes, I didn't have it. I was going to get that tonight and write it down, but I'll definitely pass it on. It's probably one of the things that I'm also pushing myself to learn this year, is learning all the moving parts and what goes into it, how it operates. Because if you're out in the field, like on my first trip, I derailed my bow and I couldn't do a thing about it.
Right. Yep.
So if I go out on my own, I need to be confident enough to be able to service the bow out in the field so I can get back out. Otherwise, that's your trip blown and you're buggered. So probably that's another thing for me that I've learned the hard way, is that I do need to work on memorizing, and so I can put it together if something does go wrong, because it is important. And obviously I sound bloody useless, but it's probably why I like going out on trips on my own as well, is because it stops me being so reliant on other people, or relying on Brett to be able to help me out. But I guess just when you've got a good partnership, it's just what happens, I think, naturally. However, it is one thing I am actually trying to do. So this year I'll be learning how to do all my fletching, my arrows and things like that.
Yeah.
I find interesting, and you sort of watch people work, and they're very clever how they do things, and I find it quite fascinating. So that's another portion I'll start to try to dive into to learn.
Yeah, no, it's been good. It's been good for me because I've had to go back to zero again, with my learning. So it's always been something I wanted to do, get into archery hunting, and being rifles for so many years, getting quite proficient with that, and now I've had to go right back to the whole start again, and it's a whole new spectrum to learn. So I'm really enjoying it too. So yeah.
And are you doing that off your own back, or have you sort of gone through a course to sort of get yourself kicked off? Or
no, I'm doing it off my own back, but I'm very lucky in that I have access to a basically a professional bow technician as well, who's become a good friend. So I take stupid questions to him constantly, and he laughs at me and says, "You've been watching too much internet." But, But I'm a sort of a fuck around and find out kind of guy. So I see something and I think, oh, I wouldn't mind giving that a go, and I'll go and do it. And if it doesn't work, then at least I've answered the question, answered my own curiosity.
Yeah, I think for so many people, that's the option they have to take. I mean, it is. You can go again. You can go as cheap as you want, or you can go as pricey as you want. Same with any hobby you pick up, whether it's bloody crafting or fishing, golf, or whatever. It doesn't matter what it is. There's always a cheap end and a pricey end. But I think for some people, probably to grasp onto confidence of stuff, sometimes a course is worth. I mean, I went on one recently, and I came away and they sort of stripped away my shot process and rebuilt it, and I've come away going, oh yeah, that is actually better. Frustrating because you sort of work really hard to dial yourself in, but I didn't have the consistency, which was more frustrating than going back to ground zero and having another crank. I just got to the consistency quicker because I'd had all those basic fuck ups where you just do things and you're like, what is going on here? But again, it depends on your way of learning too, right? Like I find a lot of blokes are really happy and stuff out, decent at it, and I don't. Patience is not a virtue of mine, and that's been me for forever. But I did have Brett teaching me, and then I've been away to a couple of like hunts, and I've learned more there, and then I've been to a course and learned more there. So I feel fairly confident. Up to 25 yards. I probably wouldn't process a lot outside of that at the moment. But again, it's a work in progress, right? You've got to keep having a dig.
Yep, that's right. Now, you were telling me before about a trip you did over Easter on an ADA block.
Yeah, we're part of the Australian Deer Association. And I think all around the country, actually, I think they have properties that you can go out to. And this one was a really good time. We could take our kids out. We've been watching all sorts of YouTube videos of hunting and stuff, and they're getting into it. They love the animals. They love seeing the deer if we can get a hold of them. They love seeing anything and just being out and about like us. So it was an important trip for us to do as a family because, one, both Brett and myself got to go hunting. And that wouldn't be possible if we couldn't have taken the kids with us. We don't have anyone around us here or family or anything that we could have the kids go and stay with for a bit. So it was great. We went out there. Girls shared a tent. Brett and I shared a tent. Back to basics, just what we could take in the cruiser and the trailer. And we set ourselves up, and I went bow hunting. Brett went rifle hunting, and we took the kids out. And it was fantastic. I mean, they learned that it was hard graft to sit still for an hour and a half with the sun on your back. And, we kept moving around. And like I said to you earlier, they needed to go to the toilet and they needed to have a snack because you can't sit there for that long without snacks. But, they had to learn that you just have to wait. It's not all getting an animal like you see on some of these YouTube videos. It is actually walking through the high grasses. I mean, for our two girls, some of the grasses were head high, but they never whinged. They never once were sort of super frightened that a snake was going to come out. We just, like we kept saying to them, just be aware. They'll be around. Yep. You know what to do. You stop, move back, and wait. We did see, Brett saw a deer. I sort of missed out. I don't think I was patient enough when I went out in the morning. I did my first hunt on my own, and I think I needed to be more patient in some of the areas where I was holed up. I had good winds, and I was in a good spot where a couple of veins came down and I was at the head of. I just think I wasn't patient enough. I didn't wait long enough. But again, that's like learning what to do, especially when the wind changes. As a new hunter, I realised that the wind can bugger your entire hunt. But it's whether you wait in the spot, or do you back out, or do you move? Or I found that sort of a hard one to decide, especially when you've been out with other people and you're relying on that experience. And I couldn't get Brett on the radio. We have radio set up, and I couldn't get him. I was just in a dip. So I'd taken Amelia out. She was keen to come again, and I was really excited because we got back, and they were hot and they were bothered, and we'd been sitting still, and they both went, no, we're not going out again. That's horrible. You and Dad can go out.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, the next day I sort of said, do you want to come out with Mum? I'm going to be going out. And she said no at the start. And then she thought about it and she goes, no, I do want to come. So hats off to her. She didn't complain once. We were trumping through the high grass, and it was late afternoon, early evening. And it was pretty steep country. And the wind was perfect the whole time, blowing up into our face. And I thought, oh, great. Even if we see something and I don't even get a shot, that's fine. So we got ourselves halfway down this hill and we started sort of moving from the central area where there was a big clump of trees. We were moving over to the side gully where Brett had seen deer earlier that morning. And we were cruising down and the wind changed and just stuffed us and blew from into our face, just straight back the other way. And I was a bit stuck. I knew it had buggered our hunt for that area, but because it changed so quickly, I was unsure whether I should sit and wait to see if it continues blowing the same way, because then we could have gone down further and across to the next gully and that hunt wouldn't have been buggered. Mm-hmm. Or do I pull straight back out and go right back up to the top, and do I wait up there, or do I just can the whole thing? And that's lack of experience in hunting in general.
Yeah, and it's easy to take the easy option out then as well, isn't it? And go, well, because that's it. I'm going back to camp because back at camp there's a hot chocolate or warm clothing or a fire or whatever.
Snacks in Texas.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you kind of you've really got to get in that mindset, and commit to yourself that whatever happens today, I'm not coming back to camp until this time, or I'm walking back in and under my headlamp and in dark or something like that, because.
Yeah, and I think it just gives me good questions. Like I said, I haven't come away from a single trip and not had more questions. So, I remember the first hunt I went on in New South Wales, I sort of had a field of vision of what I thought I needed to kind of get a really good handle on, to feel like I could say, well, I've got a good base to go off of. That was blue wide fucking apart. Anything from fieldcraft down to your kit. To learning to move with a bow through long grass while trying to be stealth. It's, if someone came up to you and went, hey, just quickly get down because you don't want to be seen, you're going to have to crawl through the bush, but you're going to have to pause every now and then because animals are going to see you. It's just not a common action or movement for you. You have to think about it. And you've got to have a head on a bloody swivel, It's all these learned things. So, the wind, I couldn't get Brett on the radio to ask for advice. So it was just, we sat there for a little bit. The wind didn't change. I said to Amelia, do you want to go down the hill more? We can go across. It was really steep. And I was really proud of her because she spoke up and we tried a few steps and then she just said, Mum, I don't feel comfortable going down any further. She felt like she was going to slip. And I could have persuaded her and said, oh, you'll be fine, you're with me. But I wanted her to be able to voice and say, nah, I'm not comfortable doing this. I don't feel like I'll be able to keep my ground and things like that, because she's only brand new. She's only 9 and she's coming out with me and I'm still a novice. I'm confident in my walking and hiking ability, but to push her too far to the point where she may not want to come out again, I wasn't willing to do that. So I was proud of her to say, no, I don't think I want to do that. I'd like to just punch back up to the top and go to the next gully across the top, which is what we ended up doing. But I think it was those things. I got back to Brett and I sort of said, hey, what would you do? What would have you done? What should have I done? What would have been the best sort of course of action in that situation? And I guess that's something like where I say you need to keep learning, keep asking questions, is you need to be happy to ask people and say, hey, look, hands up, I fucked up here, but what would you do different, or can you offer me some insight? Because I can guarantee everyone has been in that same situation as you, and they have all stuffed up, or they've all sort of thought this is the best way to go about it and they've learnt differently. But they're also happy to share those too. They may not share on their socials their stuff ups or share on YouTube or whatever, but they'll tell you their failures. Everyone's pretty happy to tell you they can tack on usually a funny story with it too.
Which ADA branch are you a member of, out of curiosity?
We are the Maryborough one.
The Gympie Mary Valley.
You know what? Mary Valley, that's what it is. Sorry, the Gympie Mary Valley one. And we went for that one because it's a bit smaller. It is close enough to us. I mean, the Brisbane one we could have done, but I mean, that's huge. I mean, that's got so many freaking members. So yeah, we just chose to go the smaller one. I love it. It's really good, and the kids love coming to the meetings too. And they've all been they're paid up members actually. The girls are, but they come to the meetings, and everyone's really kind to them and lets them join in the fold and has a good yarn to them. So it's good.
Yeah.
I guess we're on board because we have opportunities to get onto properties as well, whereas in Queensland you can't go hunting in state forests and things like that. So it's really who you know and places you can get to be able to go hunting. If you don't know anyone, you're sort of buggered. You've got to go down to New South Wales and Victoria to go hunting. And Brett was part of the community, so I've just kind of joined in as well. And I think to meet like-minded people, we've found it easy for that respect.
Yeah.
A lot of hunters and a lot of people aren't part of it, don't want to be a part of it for the same reasons. There's just sometimes it's egos, sometimes it's the division of things isn't direct correlation to where they should be in fairness either. And I think that's what people struggle with, of feeling heard within the community or the specific base as well, which is a bit sad because it'd be nice if you could get more on board. And I feel like it'd open that community door a bit more. I mean, women in hunting is difficult to meet people. I mean, I follow a lot of people on Instagram, and it's just fortunate it gives you suggested, or you'll see their friends and you can jump on that way. But I mean, within the area, I don't think if I did a shout out, there'd be a lot around near me. But building a community is bloody important because, I mean, you don't get the younger people through if you're not trying to build that, if you're not getting the stories out there, if you're not encouraging people into a sport, which is pretty hard to fight. I mean, we're in huge veganism and huge RSPCA influences and PETA and whatever other bloody corporation wants to throw their hat in the ring. But it's just such a disconnect of understanding. You know, even I've had conversations with people, and like I said, again, I'm learning, and the technicalities I'm not on point with. I can't give you statistics and numbers on things. However, if people are coming up and saying to you, oh, there's more rates of wounded animals being left in the bush with bow hunting than there are with, well, bullshit. It is, you can miss with a gun. You can miss with a bloody car. It is the same thing. You are always going to have hit and miss. And it's what you do with it, whether you keep going after the animal like we did until we were going to run out of light to be able to see anyway. We kept following the trail. Like, it's what you do after that. And yes, you're going to get dickheads. You get it in every single thing you go through. And whether they're dickheads or it's just a moment that they took or where they were at that particular time in their life, whichever, you're going to get it across all fields. But if you don't want to take the time to understand something, your disconnect from it is huge. It's really paddock to plate, and people knowing where their food comes from, doing the hard work to bloody get it. Because I tell you what, the day I get a friggin' deer and get to eat the bloody thing, I'll be telling everyone. It'll be across everywhere because I've put in the work for it. I've put in the effort. I've put in the money to learning. And it's the same for anything. If you don't, you know, you can go to a wood chopping comp and go, what's the point of this? I mean, I can go to a bloody dog show and think, what is this? What's the point of it? Because I don't understand. But you ask questions and you get why people do it. You understand their passion and you get hooked on their excitement for it. And it's the same with everything. But I feel like hunting and the outdoors really lets itself down by that lack of early education in schools as well. And that's probably what drives me to want to show our girls what we do, what we enjoy, and try to make them part of it. So the recent hunting trip we went on, we were both so excited to take them because we really want to get them enjoying the outdoors and enjoying what they get from it, but really respecting the bush and respecting the place they are and what they can enjoy with their involvement.
Well, look, we're closing in on 2 hours, so
I told you I could talk.
no, that's all good. I much prefer long format and organic conversations with people. So I really do appreciate your time and thanks for making this work, even though we had a bit of confusion about when it was supposed to happen. I look forward to seeing your YouTube and your next adventures and sharing your success. Hopefully, we'll have some mutual success with getting a deer down with our bows in the near future.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. It's definitely on there. I've definitely got a beef with a boar and a goat. I've got a few animals lined up that I want to get a hold of as well. But I think I'm just really thankful for the opportunity to come on and sort of tell people my story, I guess, of where I've started from not hunting at all to really being keen on it. And it is a bit of a bug, but it's the people that make it too. And people like yourself who are happy to share everyone's stories, from super experienced hunters and people who are out there all the time, like Lucy and her dad who've been doing it for years, and through to myself that are just starting, and especially women in the hunting area as well. It's nice to be able to share that we are out here and we're up for a yarn and happy to put ourselves out there too, because it's a really sort of exciting area to be in. So I appreciate you having me on for a chat.
Yeah, no, and I one of the things I want to do is sort of be able to highlight female hunters out there and bring them into the spotlight a bit more and try and encourage more women. It's very easy to encourage men into the sport, but trying to get women to come in is there's a lot more hurdles for you guys. So yeah, I really want to help try and encourage more women out there as well.
Yeah, and it's just I think an important thing for women is to make them just feel happy to step into space where they're not confident, and it's just really to kind of cradle their ability at whatever they're at, and it's not to pussyfoot around them and stuff. And I mean, I love a good bit of banter and to have a good piss take. I went on a bow course with Brad Smith and Brad Murphy recently, and it was all blokes, but there just was never once an issue, and I took the piss out of them and they had a laugh with me. And it is a really light-hearted area to go into, but I think for females to be able to step into the space and be confident in such a heavily male-dominated area, some women really find that difficult. So I mean, if we can open up more women's trips and camps and learning areas, they'll be happier to step into it, because I've found everyone that I've had contact with has always been really encouraging and really supported myself getting into it and sort of trying to further myself. And whether they have a giggle behind the door when you shut it or whatever, it's up to them, but they're all really happy to help me get a leg up into it. So I hope this does encourage more women who are looking for something challenging or looking for something that's a little bit out of the box. I hope it encourages them to maybe have a look and see if it is something that they are interested in, because it doesn't just give you bow hunting, it gives you a whole community, it gives you so much more than just what's at the face value. And especially if you dig a little deeper, it gives you so many connections. And I think that's what we all sort of chase, really. So yeah, I hope it just encourages someone else to step into the field.
Yeah, awesome. All right, Kate, so people want to follow along and view your adventures and so forth. What's the best way to find you?
On Instagram, a little .wander, and on YouTube it's just a little wander. But yeah, come and have a chat or just follow along. It's usually just all my family adventures, whether we're camping or hiking or a bit of hunting. It's a bit of everything now. But yeah, come along for the ride, or even if you just want to have a yarn, happy for that too.
Yeah, great. All right. Well, I'll definitely highlight that in the show notes for the podcast anyway. But if anybody needs to locate you, they can reach out to me and I'll point them in the right direction as well. Hey, thank you for listening in. If you'd like to contact me for a chat, pass on any feedback, or have some ideas for future podcasts, please reach out to me on Instagram at australian_hunting_backcountry, or email australian.hunting.backcountry@outlook.com.au. For now though, please look after yourselves and your mates.